So now let's create new database. Okay, make sure your WAMP is running, and you can open phpMyAdmin. Okay, or you can use this IDSQL. I recommend you use this. Okay, this is really fast. Okay, so if you install that, so name of program is IDSQL. Okay, go and search for that. So click on new. If you install first time, you might not see this. Click on new, and this will new connection will be created. You can name this whatever you want, and make sure your host name, so IP address is like so, and username is root by default for WAMP. Also the port number is 3306. You can also take a look at your port number here. Left click, MySQL, this port number 3306. Okay, 3306. So after that hit open. Okay, so I already have some database here, so let's create new one. Okay, right click on this local whatever name you have given to your connection, create new database, and we'll give it name notebook app. Okay, notebook app. So this is our newly created database. Okay, next go to your Sublime. We'll make the connection or configure the connection in this .env file. Okay, here .env and .env example. This is just example. We need to configure this. Open that up. Here connection MySQL, this host number, port number. Okay, make sure they are same as here you have set up. Next, database name it whatever you have just created, notebook app. So username will be root by default. Okay, so for WAMP, root is the default user and password is nothing, so leave it blank. Okay, so if you have created new username, you can give it here and password. Okay, but by default this is the connection. Now go to your, now we have to create a new table called notebooks to store the data related to notebooks. Okay, so inside this database notebook app, we will create a new table called notebook. So how do we create that? We will create that by creating migration. So in Laravel, they call it migrations. So if you go to this database and migrations, let me make it wider. So these are already two migrations. Okay, that will create users table and reset tables. This is by default. Okay, so don't worry about this just yet. We'll create new migration for notebook app. So how do we create migrations? Go to your git bash. Okay, or command prompt, terminal, whatever. Okay, so make sure you are inside this notebook app. Okay, now you can create type in command called php artisan to see what commands are available. Okay, migration, I think that is the command. Yeah, here make migration. So it will create the new migration file. So that migration file will be responsible for creating table and columns related to that table. Okay, so we will type that command here. Let me clear this out. So php artisan make colon migration, make migration. Okay, so this is command and we have to name the migration. So naming convention is, if you are creating table, just type in create underscore the table name, what you want to create notebooks underscore table. Okay, create notebooks table. Okay, so this will create new migration. Okay, so if you hit enter and create new migration like so. Okay, so what is the error? So here is one thing, I typed this command. Okay, and it gave me this error. Okay, again I tried and it gave me same error. Then if you get error like this, just type in command composer dump autoload. Okay, so sometimes there is, if your computer is at sleep or something. Okay, so it will not find that file. Okay, inside this, So what this composer dump autoload will do is it will refresh all of the files. Okay, so after doing that, I typed in same command. Okay, same command, then it creates that migration. So make sure if you get error like this, just type in composer dump autoload. Okay, so that is the cool trick. So now the migration is created. Okay, created migration, you can take a look at here. Okay, now you can see that inside this your migration folder, here inside database, migration, here create notebook app. So it will create this very basic template. Okay, but if you look at this user table, it already created a schema for creating this. Okay, this and this here. So oh, battery low. So here you can see that. Okay, just simple, nothing much. So if you want to create something like this, you have to type in extra flag. So here we just type in php artisan make migration. So let me show you, let me clear this. So this was the command we typed. Okay, so that created just this. So we want some extra boilerplate. So in order to do that, you have to do is, so let me delete this. Okay, because we are creating again. So what you have to do is just space double dash create equals to table name. Okay, notebooks. Okay, create notebook. So it will create some extra boilerplate for us. So in my case, same error, so you know what to do. So you might not see this error. Okay, because my dump autoload, I have to restart my computer. Okay, because this is not finding this file. So you might not have to do this composer dump autoload. Yeah, now that created new migration. Okay, here you can see before it was just up. Okay, now it created this schema. Okay, it's cool. So it will automatically create this table. Okay, so next we'll make some columns. Okay, so now our table is created called notebooks. Okay, so to create columns, by the way, there are two columns already there. Okay, these will create incremental id column and timestamps called created at and updated at. We'll see that in a moment. Okay, so what this file is doing is there is a method called up will create the table, and there is another method called down will delete. Okay, if we roll back, okay, there is command called rollback that will roll back the migration. Okay, that will just delete this table. Okay, so now what this is doing is schema facade call. Okay, this is also I think static method. Okay, so this will create notebooks table. Okay, so there is function blueprint table. Okay, so for now just make sure that if you want to create another table, what you will do is you will do table and call the properties or method called string. Okay, if you want to create a string and give it name. So our notebooks table will have one column called names, where we'll put name of the notebook. Okay, if you want, you can make other fields such as table, again string, and description. Okay, like so. Okay, or if you want to create integer field, you will put integer here. Okay, integer or text. Okay, text or boolean, boolean. So okay, like so. So for detail you can look at documentation of Laravel. Okay, so in this project we will be creating only one column called name. So id and timestamps will be there by default. So this is how we create column. Okay, and creating, oh, what comes up? So creating only this column will not, creating this notebooks migration will not create the table here. Okay, if you go to your connection, okay, your database, this is what we have created just now. Okay, so here is nothing. If you see, here is nothing. Okay, so in order to create table, what you have to do is you have to migrate this migration file to the database. Okay, so to do that, we'll type the command called php artisan migrate. So what this command will do is this will migrate the all the table or migration here and create the table defined inside these migration files. Okay, so let's do that. Yeah, migration file created successfully. Okay, migration table actually. So let's go to our database. Here it is, notebook app, and we refresh and we see the table. One is called migrations notebooks, which we have just created. Password resets and user are default. Okay, here by default. Okay, you can delete them if you want. So now our notebooks table is created. Let's see what is inside this. Okay, if we go to here, so it contains one id field, name, which we have created, and timestamps. So what the timestamps created is this created at and updated at field column. Okay, so now our table is completed. Okay, next we'll create the model. So work of migration file is to just create the tables, and the way we communicate with that table is through models. So models is inside this app. Here user is by default, and we'll create the new model to deal with this table. Let's create that. The command for creating that is php artisan make model. Okay, and name of model. So remember, the name of model should be singular of this table name. Okay, so table name is notebooks, then you can create notebook. Okay, this will create the model so that that will communicate with that. Okay, we will write the logics and all stuffs related to that. So where is that? App notebook. So by default it have this boilerplate. Now we have table and we can communicate with through this model. So now let's head toward our controller. Okay, there are a couple of things you should know. Okay, we will know about them as we go along. Okay, if I told you everything just now, you will get confused. Okay, so now let's go back to controller where we have defined this. Now instead of just loading this view, we want to fetch the data from database. Okay, so for now there is no data here. Let's create some dummy data. Okay, if we go here, insert row, we'll give it id1, name, database, notebook. Okay, so this is how we create timestamps. I just hit tab here. Okay, yeah, this created. Let's duplicate this. Right click, duplicate row, we'll give it id2, second one. So there are two data in our database. Okay, so now if we go to our routes and if we hit this slash notebooks, we have to see what is defined inside this index in notebooks controller. Okay, that's what we have learned in previous videos. Here this will load that notebooks dot index. Remember, this is loading from here, resources, views, notebooks dot index. So whatever is here inside this index file will get loaded there, like so. Okay, now let's go to browser and let's see if everything is working fine. So notebook.app/notebooks. So this is static content what we have defined here. This is very static, okay, nothing is coming from database. So now we want these two data to appear here rather than these personal, everything same, okay. So how to do that? So in order to do that, we have to take help of controller so that we can fetch the data from that database and show it in our this view. Let's go to controller again. Another cool trick, if you hit Control P in Sublime, okay, Control P, you can search through any file you want. So notebooks controller, okay, this is another way to go to this controller HTTP rather than clicking this HTTP controller and notebooks controller, okay. So now let's delete this, okay, let me make it a little bit bigger. So now in order to show this, what we do is notebook, remember this is the model which we have created now, double colon all. So what this will do is this will fetch the data from notebooks table. So how that do that? Because model is notebook and this model will deal with the table which is plural of its name, okay. If you are confusing, just follow along, okay, you'll understand in a moment. Now this contains all the data from our database. Let's assign this to variable notebooks, okay, we assign that to variable called notebook. So after assigning all notebook from data, you can test this, okay. For example, let's return this, return notebooks. So let's return that, okay, let's return this and see if that is working. So previous, it is loading this view. Now we again refresh that, we should see the okay, notebook not found. Okay, you might get this, okay, let me teach you one thing. So what is problem here is this is searching for this class notebook inside app HTTP and controllers, okay, but that is not inside their controllers, that is inside app notebook. Take a look, you could see that, okay, this notebook is inside app and notebook, okay, not inside app HTTP controllers and notebook. This is trying to find it here. So what we have to do is we have to use that here, use apps, not slash, backslash and notebook. So now if we define this, we can use this notebook class, okay. This name spacing means just this tells where the class is currently, okay. So if you are confused about namespace, I have a video for that, okay. Just for now, understand that if you use that, you have to specify where this class is, okay. This is the way how we tell where that class is in Laravel, okay. App backslash notebook, okay. So save that, and now if you reload that, you should see the data from database, okay. I have this JSON plugin, okay, JSON view plugin, so it will make it nice, okay. So these are two data coming from database, okay. So this is how we fetch data from database. So remember two things. One is if we use that, we have to use specify that what we are using. Also this all will fetch the all data from notebooks and we return that. But in real life we don't want to return just like so, we want to pass that to our view and we will show that here. So if you do not understand, just watch me what I have to do. So what I will do is I will return view just like before, notebooks dot index. I've done this just like before, but now what we are doing is we are passing this data into this view. So how we do that? We do that in couple of ways. My favorite is put comma here and compact. This function will pass that view. Now just put that name notebooks inside this comma compact function. Now done. So this is the way we pass this data to view. Okay, compact notebooks. So for now just remember this. Okay, we'll talk about other methods next. So now we are passing this data to our this index view. We can test that by going like here. So this is the nav. Let me collapse that. So notebook 1, notebook 2, 3, 4 here. So we'll need just one instance. Okay, just one. Okay, we'll loop through this to generate these 4. So we don't need this notebook 2, 3, 4. We can delete that. Okay, we can need just one. We'll need just one. Okay, so in blade we have this function. Okay, for each comma. So we'll use that variable notebooks as notebook. Okay, so remember this notebooks is coming from this controller here, and we are looping through that notebooks as notebook. Now we can use this variable inside this function, as you already know about for each loop. Okay, and for each. So this is different here. Okay, rather than PHP where we define that into curly braces. So now this will loop. Now just we are looping and we haven't defined any variable. So this is the title. So we'll define the title inside this to put 2 curly braces. This is same as typing PHP echo. So notebook and title, title, or check what name is here. So this, whatever this name is, where we can use here like so, name. So this we can access it like properties. Okay, notebook name. As you already know, notebook contain that these data. Okay, so if we are accessing name, we are accessing this variable, this value of this variable. Okay, so like so. This is also called collections. Okay, if you are wondering what are they. So notebooks, so this link, leave them as it is. So now if we save and reload this, we should see 2 notebooks. Okay, database notebooks and second notebook. Okay, so now you can see, okay, this is coming from database. We slightly had this CSS issue, we'll fix that later. Okay, so for now these data are coming from database here. Okay, if you edit that should reflect there. So if we remove that notebook from here, that should reflect here. Yeah, database. Okay, so now our site is dynamic, okay, to some extent. So this is how we go about showing our notebooks in the index page.